Hey there, it's your Sky Diva coming to you with another bow tutorial. You see what we're using today? Scissors, my Bodabra wire, my Bodabra, and two 1.5 ribbons. One's a solid red with a white trim, and then I have a patterned diagonal with red and white. So those are my ribbons. So of course I'm gonna cut a length of Bodabra wire. Length doesn't matter. I'm going to fold it in half and then I'm going to slide it down in between my Bodabra ends, or the insert for lack of a better word. And that way when I get ready to pull my bow up, I can secure it without worrying about my bow coming loose. And you'll see me turn my Bodabra. Sometimes it's easier for me to turn the Bodabra as I'm putting the ribbon in. So I'm going to start with my red and white pattern wire. I'm going to I'm going to start with about an 8-inch tail. And you'll notice I put my Bodabra in the middle of my self-healing mat, and it helps me with my measurements. When I use my Easy Bow Maker, it already has the little measurements on it. But with the Bodabra, that's not an option. So I use my self-healing mat to help me make sure my measurements are right. So I'm doing about a 6-inch loop. So I put a 6-inch loop, and of course, because this is a pattern ribbon, I'm going to pinch and then I'm going to twist so that my ribbon is right side up. And then I'm going to measure out another 6-inch loop, and I'm going to pinch and lay it flat, and then I'm going to cut an 8-inch tail. So there you see me making sure my measurements are about even. And remember, your loops do not have to be exact. They are twins. Nobody's going to notice that they're off unless they're off by a lot. And even then, they're not going to notice. So there I am cutting that tail. And I'm sending one tail up and one tail down just to make me kind of a little X pattern. Once I get that done, then I'm going to pick up my solid red and I'm going to repeat that pattern. So I'm going to roll that ribbon out the way. And you'll see there's a stick that comes with your Bodabra. And what that does is it helps you scrunch your ribbons down, because with your Bodabra, you can put just about anything in it to make a bow. Mesh, flowers, any of your picks or embellishments. You can use anything in the Bodabra. That's what makes it, so unique and versatile. And so there I'm putting my solid red in, and you'll notice that tail is opposite of what I did when I did the red and white stripe pattern, because I'm trying to make them opposite. So again, 6-inch loop, pinch, twist, and then I'm going to make another 6-inch loop. I'm going to pinch it down, and then I'm going to cut an 8-inch tail. And I'm going to repeat this pattern 2 or 3 more times just to make sure I get a really good full bow. And you can use this bow on wreaths. You can use this on door hangers. You can use this, as inserts on your Christmas tree. It's a really versatile kind of bow, and it's an easier bow to make. Just because all you're doing is repeating patterns over and over and over again. So you see me still doing that same 8-inch tail. And what I'm doing now is trying to make sure that I'm going in sort of the opposite direction. And then you'll notice when you do the Easy Bow Maker, you've got that spool holder. Yeah, you don't have that with that Bodabra. So your spool is liable to roll around several places unless you have somewhere, a way to hold it in place. But it's okay. If it hits the floor, it hits the floor. You just roll it back up. And for those of you who are wondering, what do you do when you still have ribbon left on the spool? I just use a straight pin to kind of secure it so that when I put them in my ribbon band, I don't have loose ribbon everywhere. And there you saw me using that little wand to scrunch down my ribbon just to make sure it's nice and tight. And what I'm doing now is I'm trying to place those loops to make sure you can see not only the red and white stripe, but also you can see the red. So I'm coming back in with yet another 8-inch tail. And I'm still doing that same 6-inch loop. So I've got 2 sets. This is my set number 2. Make that loop. Pinch. And then twist. Still making sure it's about the same size. And then I'm going to make a loop on the other side. And the number of new loops and tails is completely up to you. It's your bow, remember? Now I'm going to come back. I'm still scrunching because I really want to make sure that it's in nice and tight. Coming back in with my pattern. Again, 8-inch tail. Pinch that in the middle. Slide it down. Twist. And this is my final loop. And you'll see I made it just slightly shorter because I want it to look like a button loop. Again, with the 8-inch tail, scrunch it down really, really tightly. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up those ends. Remember, I'm making a slip knot. So the 2 loose ends, I'm going to slide in the middle of that loop. I'm going to pull really, really tight within the Bowdabra. And then once I pull it up, I'm going to put those ends, turn them towards the back, lay that bow down. And then I'm going to tie a series of really tight knots because I want that bow to stay together. And again, I don't cut those ends because I'm going to use that extra Bowdabra wire to secure the bow to my wreath. And then I'll cut off the excess. Once I get it tight, then of course you know what I got to do next. Got to dovetail those ends. And so this is a preliminary kind of cut because when I place it on the wreath, that is when I'll determine if the tails are too long, if I need to trim them a little bit. So what I'm just trying to do is do my dovetail to finish off that bow to give it kind of a finished look. And you fold it in half and then you cut upwards. And it comes out with this lovely little dovetail, just like on a bird. So there I am trimming all the ends, and sometimes I miss an end, and or you don't necessarily have to trim your ends. You can also fold it up a couple of times, or you can cut it at an angle and just do one cut. How you finish off the ends of your bow tails is completely up to you. Once I get all of those done, then all that's left to do is fluff. And you know, as I say, you're going to do an initial fluff, then you're going to fluff again when you get it on the wreath. And so I have a lovely wreath that I put this bow on just so you can see how it might look. And we're done. You've made yet another bow.